After 10 years in my Minecraft Superflat Survival world, today I'm finally gonna finish my Megabase. This project took an insane amount of time, and it's one of my biggest builds ever. Was it worth it? Watch to the end and let me know. So May 7th was the 10th birthday of the world, but it was hard to celebrate because that means I've been procrastinating on this for a decade. Since 2012, I've been wanting to build a massive, exciting centerpiece to the world, but I just never knew what to build until I posted this video and the comments all agreed that a giant spider would be perfect. That's because we have this awesome spider cathedral where they worship spiders. But I've only ever built one organic structure ever, this statue of Neptune from 2014. What if I just can't pull this off and I ruin my world forever? But there's only one way to find out. So we're kicking things off with a giant temple that the spider's gonna sit on top of. I'm confident I can design something nice, but it's gonna take a crazy amount of resources. So to see exactly what we're gonna need, I'm gonna lay out the gradient I wanna use for one of these pillars. And here's our first pillar done. This gradient actually came out pretty smooth. Randomizing the blocks is a lot harder than it looks. So here are the 10 blocks we're using, and there's a few issues I want to solve with the resource gathering process that's gonna make this go a lot faster. Because this project is gonna take an insane amount of time. Let's start with concrete. I want to build a little shed that helps me convert concrete powder to concrete, because after building that giant creeper, I'm sick of converting it by hand. I need a more permanent solution, and over here by our new terracotta building is the perfect spot. And go! And there we go. I think this came out kind of cute. For the palette, I used mostly spruce wood and dark oak wood to match the bee farm next door. And the red terracotta and concrete powder in the roof gave it that cozy shed feeling. So the way this thing works is you put the concrete powder in your offhand, you can load up the dropper with extra concrete powder, and then I think you kind of just hold down both mouse buttons. Wow, this is so much faster than how I've been doing it. This thing's gonna come in so handy for this project. So next up on our list of things to take care of is the andesite and the diorite. Andesite is actually crafted using diorite and cobblestone, and diorite is crafted using cobblestone and quartz. So before I do anything, I'm gonna go to the nether and collect a whole bunch of quartz. All right, so we have a ton of quartz now, and while I was in the nether, I also grabbed some warp stems, which we're gonna need for the roof. But the quartz was only half the battle. Stone bricks, andesite, and these diorite blocks are all gonna require a lot of cobblestone and stone. I get my stone from this simple farm, but I have to be careful that I don't accidentally break my pickaxe. And I can fill this cobblestone farm with iron picks so that they keep cycling and refilling my inventory whenever one breaks. But it still requires my player to be mining, so it's not fully automatic. But we've got this efficient TNT blast chamber attached to our wood farm. All we have to do is hook this thing up to a cobblestone generator and we can fully automatically mine stone. Well guys, it's done. You press this lever, the cobblestone starts getting pushed down into the machine. It forms a great big block, and eventually it all gets blown up like that. And as you can see, the items just make their way down into these chests. It's getting pretty late, so let's AFK overnight and see how much cobble we get.
The next day.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, baby. I'm so glad we got this done. So that brings us to the final resource on our list here, mushroom stems. And unfortunately, this one is not only the hardest to get, but the hardest to fix. Currently, when I want mushroom stems, I have to grow a whole mushroom and then mine the stem out. So we need to build a highly specialized mushroom stem farm. And since this area of my world is sort of becoming the industrial district, I want to put it in this little nook right here. Now I found this amazing design by someone named Alex Bombird. And Alex was kind enough to provide a material list with the world download. So back here in my Flatworld, I gathered everything we need to build this thing. But starting a big redstone project like this is a little bit daunting. We won't actually need the mushroom stems until about halfway up our pillars. So let's get halfway. All right, we're about halfway done with the circle, and honestly, once you get into the swing of things, it's not so bad. You can kind of look at all the other pillars and just guesstimate when you need to make the switch to another color. Most of it is just going by whatever feels right. Well, we did it. We're halfway up, and this looks amazing so far. I'm so excited to see how it's gonna look when it's done. It's great motivation to build our mushroom farm so we can finish this off. So enough delay, let's get started. Alright guys, bit of an update here. We're about halfway through this thing and I gotta be honest, I have no idea if I'm building this right or not. I feel like I must have missed something here and there, but I'm doing my best to just go through it really slow, block by block, and try and get it all right. And it's finally working. Guys, this took me so long to get working. It wasn't working and I had to actually download Lightmatica. Lightmatica lets you overlay a schematic into your world which highlights the blocks that you placed wrong. And that allowed me to notice a few things I had missed, but it's working now, so let me give you a demonstration. You come in here, you flip the lever, I got mushrooms in my offhand, you spam right click, and hold left click, and it ends up breaking the mushroom as soon as it grows. And then a piston chain pushes the extra blocks down towards you, and as soon as you can plant another one, you plant it. It really is a genius design, and as you can see, it works pretty well. But there is one catch, and it's a kicker. This thing requires you to feed it axes if you want to AFK, bone meal, and red mushrooms. And in order to get a bunch of red mushrooms to stock the farm with, I kind of need to farm them first. And the way I get mushrooms is by growing them and then mining them with an axe. And so in the process of getting the red mushrooms for the stem farm, I ended up farming a bunch of stems. But we're gonna be using mushroom stems a whole lot more in this world, so it was worth it. But for now, I just wanna get back to work on these pillars. This looks so insane, but we're not done yet. Adding little archways between them will really tie this all together. Whoa, this is sweet. We gotta fill in these gaps. The main highlight color on this part is blue, so we're gonna use blue up here as well. This came out so awesome. This striped gradient is sick. Let's go see how it looks from far away. Oh, it's super subtle, but I love the color it adds. So the next step is putting on the roof. It's gonna be a giant dome made out of warped wood, and after we build it, we can go back through and texture it. This is probably gonna take forever. This thing came out amazing. I'm so happy with it. The way it transforms the way the whole city looks from like anywhere you stand is just crazy. While building the roof, I realized that a regular dome would be way too boring, so I added this little hat on top. But just like we did over at our mob hotel, I used like an onion-shaped dome for the roof. And I'm actually really happy with how the little decoration on top came out. It's end rods coming out from a skeleton head. But I was pretty confident from the start that I could make the temple look really great. The real question is how the heck I am going to pull off a spider on top. But before we get to that, I just want to do a little bit of texturing on this thing. Because for a roof this big, all warped wood would just be way too boring. I've been playing a lot with gradients in creative mode, and I picked out a little palette that I think would look really great on this roof. So I gathered up a bunch of resources and I'm just gonna start placing blocks. I have no idea how this is gonna look. So I spent about an hour doing this texturing and I'm so happy with how it came out. I really wasn't sure if it would look too weird or not, but it just makes the whole build so much more weathered looking and interesting to look at. And the texturing is done. I have been working on this for like 12 hours straight with very few breaks, but I managed to get it to a place I'm pretty happy with. By the way guys, I managed to get a ton more villagers into our terracotta trading hall. At this point we've got over half the villagers we need, so I'm just gonna keep chipping away at it off camera. But without further ado, I present to you the finished roof. Ooh, Even though this took an insane amount of time, I think it was very worth it. It might be a little busy for some people's taste, but keep in mind there's gonna be a giant spider on here that's gonna really draw your attention in. I really wanted to play a lot with the color on this, and I'm just very pleased with how it came out. The texturing also helps with these weird patterns you tend to get when building a sphere shape in Minecraft. With all the different colors, your eyes don't really see all these ugly circles sticking out. But guys, it's now time for the hardest part of the video. It's time to put an end to 10 years of procrastination and finish this base. Let's put a giant spider on this thing. All right, guys, I messed around in a creative copy of the world for about an hour before I realized that you can't do any organics without world edit. Pretty much every tutorial I looked at in terms of doing organics had world edit as part of the process, and so I downloaded it and I'm trying to learn how to use it right now. Lightmatica and world edit in one episode. This has been a learning experience for me, but I'm just getting the hang of it. Obviously, this looks pretty terrible at the moment, so I'm gonna mess around with it for several hours and we'll see how far we get. Well guys, the design for the spider I think is ready to go, but first I just wanna give a quick shout out to my new patrons, Maxwell Everts, Spookies, Christ is Risen, and Kane Hawkins. I can't tell you guys how much the support means to me. But let's not delay. Time to build this spider. A top to our mega base after 10 years. What a journey this has been. I'm so happy with how the spider came out. I love how his legs are sort of coming through the top here, and the shape of his little spider butt came out perfect. There's actually a bunch of space inside of here, so let me know in the comments if you have any ideas what we can put inside of this spider. I just love how much this adds to the lore of the world with the spider church just having a direct view to this giant spider statue. Now, of course, on the inside, there's a lot more work I want to do, but it's gonna have to wait till another episode. If you guys want a world download of my world, you can find it on my Patreon for the $10 tier, or you can always wait for the next world tour, because I always give a world download for free. That's it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching.